Hi everyone. I'll give a few seconds for everyone to get here. This is Gina Badality of Embracing Imperfect. So today we're talking about a more serious topic. So I'll just give you a few seconds, and I've got my computer over here, so I'm going to be looking to the right a whole lot. Welcome, because I got some stats and statistics that I want to talk about in cancer. And cancer in the United States in particular, and cancer among adults. So I'll just give another moment or two for this, and then we can get started on today's topic. I actually have this on the mind because it's anecdotal, and I know that there's a lot of people who don't take credence with anecdotal stuff, but a couple of friends, I have this particular group that I'm in. It's only like 15 people. Of those people, certain people have already had cancer, and certain people have just found out that members of their family have been diagnosed with cancer. And so I feel like in any group that you know a large group of people who had cancer. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I know that there was cancer around. My aunt had cancer. My aunt had breast cancer. I'm not sure when she got it, but she passed at 59, and she had it at least a decade or more. So she did have early onset cancer, breast cancer. And my mother got breast cancer in her 80s. So now this is what was kind of interesting to me, because the doctors were like, oh, don't worry about it. She's 80. As in, when you get old, you get cancer. That's just the way it is. So why would it be that when you get old, you get cancer? What makes sense to me, especially in this day and age, is that we're being exposed to a lot more chemicals, right? So you've got more chemical exposure over time, you get more cancer. Now, I just want to talk about adult cancer right now. I know that cancer is a growing or #1 killer of children. I believe that's a separate issue, and I don't actually want to, I do believe that's related to vaccines, but I don't actually want to talk about vaccines because I'm uncertain that adult cancer is related to vaccines. I think adult cancer, because most of us haven't had a vaccine in, a decade or 2 or 3. I think that adult cancer is related to exposure to chemicals and chemicals bioaccumulating. So what I was saying was that I looked up some rates. Now, I've heard this thing that 1 in 4 people die of cancer, and then in the 50s it was like 1 in 100. That statistic isn't quite exactly accurate, so I went into a little more searching, and this is from the American Cancer Society. You can find this over at cancer.org, and these are risks. This is data from 2010 to 2012 for the United States. And these numbers are average risk for overall United States population. So it doesn't mean it's exactly your risk, but all cancers included, okay? Now, we know that certain cancers are a direct result of, like lung cancer is most of the times caused by smoking. Of course, sometimes it's caused by secondhand smoke, so that counts too, right? But for men in this survey, the risk of developing any type of invasive cancer was 1 in 2, and the risk of dying from it, if you got the cancer, right, is 1 in 4. So we always have to do math right? It's not 1 in 4 people have a chance of dying from it. It's 1 in 4 of the 1 in 2 that have a chance of dying, which is still pretty unpleasant. And for women, for all invasive sites, so all types of cancer, bladder, brain, breast, cervix, everything, the risk of developing cancer is 1 in 3. And then if you did, the risk of dying from that cancer is 1 in 5. So, yikes. Really? No, think about that. Like, you're like, okay, 1 in 3 women are going to get cancer. So think around the women around you. How many women do you know have cancer? And please include those who are older, because like I said, when my mom had cancer, oh, it's not that type of breast cancer. It's just, you know, she's old. Like, we can expect it. I am a person who believes that we shouldn't be expecting disease in our life. We shouldn't be expecting to get disease. Now, it can happen, and it can happen for a variety of reasons, even on like a spiritual level. That there are reasons people get cancer in terms of stress and other factors and genetics and all that. But I honestly think that we're getting cancer more. It's hard to find stats that actually bear that out, but I think that we're getting it a lot more. There are stats that do bear out that we are getting an increasing rate of cancer. It's not a huge percentage increase, but I just think we are exposed to so many things. Now, my mother's cancer, she had breast cancer. She also had Alzheimer's, and she died from the cancer because the cancer eventually metastasized. I know I'm not saying that word right. But Alzheimer's, I believe is, Alzheimer's I'm hearing is also on the rise. So why do we have so many of these terribly toxic diseases? People are getting these diseases younger and younger. Again, I'm putting children aside. I'm talking about adults. What is the reason that we're getting so much cancer? And I personally think it's chemicals. And so what I think is not just happening is that we're getting chemicals in products. It's that chemicals are being, even with the green and the organic and the clean movement, manufacturers are still using more and more and more and more chemicals. And it's really, you're hard pressed to find anything on the shelf that is chemical free and, let's face it, that you can afford on a tight budget. Right? Try buying clean deodorant that doesn't have, if you're looking not to have propylene glycol or titanium dioxide or all these things, try finding a pure natural deodorant. Well, they're like $11 a bottle. And the brands I like, that's how much it costs. It's not cheap, right? And you can make this stuff yourself, but you know what? I'm not a DIY person. I tried and failed horribly. About as DIY as I get is I use a baking soda or vinegar on a really bad stain. Okay, somebody can't find my feed. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Let me find out why they can't find my feed. But I'm not a DIY person, so I need to have something that is ready-made and ready to go. But $11 for deodorant, it's a lot for a person on a tight budget. It's a lot for people who are raising kids who are sick or with disabilities and need to put their money elsewhere. So, my video's here. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry, 1 second. Anyway, so what are all these chemicals? There are so many chemicals. There are so many chemicals that are on the shelf in products. And I'm just going to go through a few of them. So I think the first thing we need to think about is glyphosate. Now, the problem with glyphosate is not just that it's in our products, it's in our lawns. And it's Roundup. It's Roundup. So it's in our lawns. And even if you have an organic lawn, it's in your neighbor's lawn. If you live in an area like I do where there's lots of farms, they're just spraying it everywhere. It's just everywhere. One time, the Scots guy, we were walking by my neighbor's house, and he sprayed me and my husband. And it wasn't that he sprayed us. It's that he was spraying, and he wasn't paying attention. And the wind blew and coated us in what I'm certain was Roundup. So it's everywhere. And the World Health Organization, the FDA will like to argue about this, but the World Health Organization has said that glyphosate is a probable, not possible, but probable human carcinogen. So it can be causing cancer in people. And it's sprayed everywhere. It's permeating the environment. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the soil, it's in our food, it's in certified organic food. That's why there's a new glyphosate-free certification out, because even food that is GMO-free and organic, USDA organic, is still traces of glyphosate in there. There's glyphosate in, they found glyphosate in vaccines. They found it in breast milk. They have found it everywhere. And your exposure to it, it bioaccumulates, which means your body doesn't necessarily clear all of it out. It accumulates, and that's how you can get cancer. Hi, Susan. I'm glad you found me. So that's a huge problem. A couple of other problems we have these things called endocrine disruptors. And endocrine disruptors, they are chemicals like parabens and phthalates. There are all kinds of other substances that disrupt your, they mess with your hormones, essentially, right? So if you're pregnant and you're exposed to them, your child can have issues like reproductive issues. But they're also, you know, they're tagged to all these other problems. And, okay, so I thought I had another article up. So here's a couple of more chemicals that are in your everyday. This is an article I wrote on deodorants. Propylene glycol, which I mentioned before. It's in deodorants. Just put that there. That's my husband there bringing me coffee.
What are you, live?
Yes, I am live.
Oh, sorry.
It's another it can cause problems and allergies. We've got MEA, TEA, and DEA. They adjust pH levels. They're used for fragrance or as a preservative. Fragrance. There's no true regulation on fragrance. And the problem is that companies go, well, I can't tell you what my fragrance is. It's proprietary. And fragrance, I'm not just talking about a bottle of perfume. It's in everything. It's in sanitary pads, for example. It's in deodorant. It's in lotions and creams and balms and skin treatments. It's everywhere, and it could be thousands upon thousands of unregulated chemicals that are in there because it's proprietary. We can't tell you what it is. So if you see a fragrance, there are some companies that will tell you this fragrance is XYZ. I personally think the only fragrance that's good is essential oils. I'm also highly allergic to fragrance except for essential oils. So I don't, if there's a fragrance, I'm run because it literally makes me sick. Okay, other chemicals that you can have, and this is again in my deodorant article, formaldehyde. That is a known carcinogen. So you've got just an overwhelming slew of things in your products. You've got a lot of chemicals in your drinking water. Like I said, you may have glyphosate in there. That's just your bath and beauty and water and lawn products. I haven't even touched food except for saying that USDA organic can have, they have found glyphosate in there. So what do you do with all this, all these chemicals? Growth hormones in milk and dairy, antibiotics in milk and dairy, phthalates, like I said, parabens, all this SLS. It's a controversial one. Mica is a controversial one. There are certain ones that people are not really sure how dangerous they are. Now, for me, I have kids who have high sensitivities and methylation issues. So what a methylation issue means is your body can't detox like someone who doesn't have those problems. Most people with Down syndrome and many kids with autism have methylation issues. So they can't detox the products. You know, something in your body comes in and you detox it normally. They can't detox it. And so I'm highly sensitive to anything that's even a maybe, because the maybe could be harmful for my kids, even if it's not harmful for me or other people. And then the next thing I want to talk about, I really covered food. And food is a little different, even though definitely food can have a lot of glyphosate in it, and you really have to be careful how you eat. And even when I feel it's better to buy USD, now there's some controversy about even buying organic and non-GMO, and that's okay. I feel like it's safer. I feel like we are at a point in our history where there's just no way you can keep yourself completely free of cancers and toxins coming into your body unless you live in a bubble. I mean, I don't know how you can do that in this day and age, but you can make better choices and you can reduce the amount of chemicals in your body. There was a study done a few years ago in, I think, Sweden, where they had a family or a couple of families, and they switched them all to organic, certified organic, I guess European certified organic, and they tested their glyphosate levels in their bodies before and after, because you can't get that tested, but they found that it was reduced after they after they exchanged all their regular foods for organic brand. So it will have an effect if you dramatically reduce it. If you go to organic, if you have grass-fed beef, and another thing with that is whether or not they're eating organic. They may be eating GMO soy, and so there's a lot of controversy if people are getting that. But if you just make the switch to non-GMO, at least, organic, certified organic, when possible, US or British, or UK, European, sorry. Soil Association is the one of the European certifiers of organic, and I think they're British, so that's why I'm getting confused. But as long as it's officially certified by a qualified agency as organic, and you're going to start seeing the glyphosate free from the Detox Project. You could Google the Detox Project. That's coming up. You could look for Made Safe certification, which tests for dangerous chemicals in every step of the phase, and they focus on non-food products, and they focus on everything from bath and beauty and cosmetics to they just had bed certified for being cleaner. So we have to keep in mind that these toxins and these poisons are coming, they're coming from our furniture, they're coming from our air, they're coming from our water. So you should get a purification system. We are in the process of buying one now. They are coming from your flooring and your carpeting and your lawn and your neighbor's lawn, if not your lawn. So we have to be really careful about that. And then there's just one more thing I want to say. Now, I've been saying that I'm not really talking about food. So I was actually speaking to a woman I know who's an herbalist. She makes her own herbal skincare products. She doesn't sell them. She teaches people how to make their own skincare products. And like, I know a couple of people who do this, and that's the right option for them, but it's way too complicated for me. It's never going to happen. It's great if you can. I give you mad props if you can do there and buy your calendula and put it in a poultice and do the whole thing. That's, it's just not my cup of tea. But what I wanted to talk about was the difference between putting something on your skin and ingesting it. So we always tend to, like, in our minds, think that eating something is so much worse, right? Ew, that's so gross, than having it on your body. And this is another area of controversy. But when you eat something, even my kids who have, like I said, broken methylation processes, even still when they are eating, their digestive system works normally. So when you eat something, you've got from time it comes in till the time it's a waste product, you have got digestive enzymes and acids and all kinds of fluids and functions in your body, sorting, processing, taking out the nutrients, discarding the junk, breaking things down, as long as that particular, you know, obviously there's people with serious digestive diseases that it doesn't work for them, but as long as you have that, you're actually stripping out a whole lot of garbage in that. Again, the methylation process is something more in a blood and molecular level going on. But if you're putting something on your skin, it's going into your skin. Again, really controversial. Some people say things don't really go in your skin, but I know that it does because like a couple of years ago, my daughter got a rash and I spoke to my homeopath and she was like, you know, you can do whatever, but she needs to detox it. So just leave her be. Let the rash come out. The rash is her body detoxing whatever's in her system, virus or whatever. So I said, okay, great, detox. Let me throw her in and she had just a regular bumpy rash. She gets eczema a lot, but this time it was red and it was really itchy and bothering her. So I put her in an Epsom salt bath. And definitely the Epsom salt went into her pores because when she came out of the bath, her pimply rash turned into one large, enormous pimple. It was just a raised red patch that went from like here all the way down and on her arm. And I freaked out and my husband was all ready to take her to the ER. So I called up my homeopath again and my homeopath is like, good, it's getting out. That's what she needed to do. She needed to have the Epsom salt pulled out the toxin. She's fine. Give her another day or two. And by the time, that was like late afternoon, we decided not to bring her to the ER and wait another day. And we put her in bed. We put the cool sheets on her because she was so itchy. And we were like, you know, just trying to tell like an autistic child not to scratch. It's really hard. But she did really well. And we put her to bed and we wrapped her in a sheet. We made sure she was nice and cool. And by the time I got her to bed that night, it had calmed down. It was still a lot of red, but it wasn't as raised. It wasn't a welt anymore. And the next day, it was even calmer and less red. And later on, by the next night, she was pretty much almost done with it. And so, absolutely, by soaking in the bath, that salt affected her and, you know, went into her pores. It had an effect on her body, and her body was like, ugh, and threw up the toxin that was in it. And so I know that there's a lot of controversy about how much because you do have 5 layers of skin, 5 or 6, and you have a layer of, I also learned this from that herbalist, you have a layer of course, your bacteria that's on your body, your healthy and your unhealthy bacteria, if you've got it in good proportions. You've also got that. But it's actually can be more harmful, something going in directly to your body. So for example, I sell Neil's Yard Remedies and they have essential oils, but another hot thing of controversy with essential oils is, can you ingest it? And they recommend you do not. I don't feel comfortable ingesting it either. They even recommend don't put it directly on your skin. Use an oil base like grapeseed oil or something, or a massage oil, and dilute it in the oil before you put it on your skin. Don't even put it direct on your skin, and don't put it direct in your body. So those are reasons why we want to look at our products that we are using. So a lot of times when you do detox, you think of, or if you're trying to help your child thrive, you're thinking of, you know, is he having a food sensitivity? Is he having a reaction? Is his ADHD, is that related to dyes and chemicals in his food? Let me put him on the Feingold diet. Everything's diet. Let me try ketogenic, because ketogenic works hand in hand with this particular treatment. Or nightshades harming him. I'm considering removing nightshades from my kid's diet. So you've got this really very much food-based presentation going on, but you have to remember that there are other chemicals all around. And so what you can do about this is you can go out there. The market's a lot more open now. You can buy lots of clean chemicals now. There are so many clean chemical products. You can buy if you are really like doing the homemade cleaning stuff, a couple of months ago I did a campaign for Aunt Fanny's, which is a vinegar-based cleaning oil with essential oils in it, cleaning spray, and it's very clean. You know, you can buy laundry detergent. You can buy, I think Molly Suds is one of the better ones. I'm using BioClean. BioClean is pricey, but it's awesome, and it's, if you buy the concentrated one, it actually works well. You can buy clean deodorants and chemicals and chemical-free makeup and skin lotion and skin cleanser and things that are scented, like I said, with essential oils or not scented at all. There are definitely things you can do, and you need to start looking into that if you really want to be, I want my house to be cancer-free. Okay, well, everybody thinks I want my house to be cancer-free, I won't let anyone smoke in it. Well, there's other toxins. Here's the thing we don't do, because I can't get my kids to take off their shoes. But when you come in the house, take off your shoes, because you've tracked in all that glyphosate and other crap from walking around on the bottom of your shoes. Air out your systems. Now, I have a lot of allergies, so I'm a heavy-duty air conditioner user. I do, though, periodically open my windows and air things out, because you need to get out the stale air, and you need to let the fresh air in. You need to think about the chemicals in your food. And, you know, there are definitely things you can do right away. You can stop right now, today, eliminate dyed foods from your family. I mean, there's not that many out there, really. I mean, who needs to really eat tricks, right? Just clear out the dyed foods. And I guess Kraft mac and cheese is one now too. There are so many good brands of mac and cheese, and they don't cost that much more. Get organic mac and cheese if your kids are okay with wheat and dairy, and if they're not, get Daiya mac and cheese. And Daiya just bought by a pharmaceutical company, Otsuka, so that's interesting. But we can clear out our houses and homes of the worst chemicals. But you need to be aware of these products. You look up a product, like I said, endocrine disruptors, phthalates are endocrine disruptors, parabens are EDCs, let's just call them EDCs, endocrine disruptors. BPA, which is in the plastics, in your plastic containers. You want to think about getting plastics out of your kitchen, and particularly, even if you still have plastics in your kitchen, do not cook with them, and do not use them after you've just ran them in any kind of hot water. Definitely, you know, you have to think about these things. So there's a lot of things you could do. You could take little itty bitty steps. You could say, well, you know what? I want to make a big change. I'm just going to eliminate, I'm going to keep as much as the same brands or products as I can, but nothing with the fragrance, because right there, you're eliminating who knows how many thousands completely unknown proprietary chemicals that could be causing you damage and harm. And so it's my opinion that cancer, which, yeah, you look at the numbers, they look fuzzy, but I think cancer is on the rise. I think it is. I don't remember that many people having cancer, and now I feel like every other person you talk to has cancer. It's like autism. It's like all of a sudden there are 10 people on your block with autistic children when there were no one on your block with autistic kids a couple of years ago. And I feel like all of a sudden you go in a conversation, and who's on chemo, who's off chemo, who's starting chemo, who's found a lump, who's found a mass, who's, you know, I had the BRCA test, so I'm considering removing my breast, which I think is a terrible idea. But all this is going on, and we're not paying attention to it. So it doesn't mean if you do this that you will never get cancer or Alzheimer's or anything like that, but you can better your odds by cleaning out the junk. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. So I hope that you'll take that into consideration. And if you already started the process, maybe it's time to up your game and go to the next process. Maybe it's time to think about, all right, let's say you cleared out your lawn, but your neighbor still uses Roundup. So what do? Because you're still being exposed. Maybe it's time to do a glyphosate detox, a regular one for you and your family, or get testing. I think they still do testing. I know they did it a few years ago, but to see if you have glyphosate in your system. So lots of things you can do. And like I said, if you want to make a big change fast, if you're new, get rid of fragrances. If you've been doing this a while, maybe it's time to look at the next step. The next thing maybe you want to, if you've cleaned out all your products, well, all right, great, you're all clean now. Have you done a detox? Have you tested your blood, like a 23andMe, not the Ancestry one, but the medical one, and then you've got to send it to a place to read it for you, or go to a natural practitioner and just say, you know, I want to look at my detox. Do you have mercury fillings? No, I do. That's a big deal to take out those fillings. Don't go to someone who's just, I have a dentist who just offers it random, like no big deal. It's a big deal. So do your homework if you want to take your mercury out of your body. And that's it. That's it. Just move on to detox. I think we can live better. We can feel better. We may not be able to completely 100% prevent cancer. And like I said, maybe it's in the cards. Maybe it's part of our fate. Maybe it's part of God's plan. Maybe it's our divine thing that we need to actually get cancer to teach us something, or to learn something, or to move on to some other next level. So I'm not saying you can absolutely prevent it. But when you clean out the garbage, you physically feel better. You feel better. You have more energy. You feel younger. So go ahead and start detoxing wherever you're at today. Everybody can probably do just a little bit better. Okay, well, that's it for me today. And again, this is Gina B from Embracing Imperfect. And you can find me on my website, embracingimperfect.com, and right here on my Facebook page. And I'm at Gina Bad on Twitter, GINABAD, and embrace the imperfect in you today. Thank you, and bye.